Beaches are an invaluable asset for relaxation and recreation. Each year, tens of thousands of summer visitors come here to the south coast of Sweden to enjoy the sun, the sea and the fresh air. But the picture isn't only a positive one. The beaches are being threatened, and in some places they have been completely washed away. Buildings which once stood a safe distance from the sea have also experienced the unexpected forces of nature. The problem concerns beach erosion, a problem which is both serious and increasing and threatens to cause a considerable amount of damage unless a far-sighted and well-prepared plan of action is put into effect. Most seriously affected is the coastal municipality of Ystad. This is where the most extensive erosion damage has taken place. The problem is not a new one. It was first known about in the 1820s. However, it wasn't until the 1950s that erosion began to accelerate and create such comprehensive problems. The most extensive damage has occurred to the east of Ystad, at Ystads Sandskog and at Löderup's Strandbad, where the shoreline has eroded several hundred meters over the past 150 years. Within the last few years alone, the shoreline has moved up 100 meters, with houses and land disappearing into the sea as a consequence. We can't be sure about anything regarding the future, but most scientists are of the opinion that we are moving into an era which will be increasingly affected by the so-called greenhouse effect. As a result, we can expect the level of the world's oceans to rise between 25 to 50 centimeters up until the middle of the next century. And what does this mean? Well, it has been estimated that for each centimetre of sea level rise, our beaches will erode approximately 1 metre. So a half-metre rise in the sea level means an erosion of 50 metres. The consequences will be extremely serious. When the water level is normal, the waves are broken by the gentle slope of the beach face, and the sand dunes behind the beach are thus protected from erosion. With increasing water levels, however, the formerly dry beach lies completely under water, and the dunes are now subject to the direct attacks of the waves. Desperate homeowners have done what they can to protect their properties. Unfortunately, the consequences of slope protection with enormous quantities of stones have exacerbated the problem and moved the erosion to areas further away. For the municipalities situated along the Swedish coast, the beaches are of great economic importance. They're a very big tourist attraction, and without them there would not be the turnover of hundreds of millions of krona each year. In Sweden, ever since the 1950s, attempts have been made to incorporate various state bodies in the problem. But it would have to wait until the 21st century before a state institution was appointed with specific responsibility for coastal erosion. The year 1986 was somewhat of a watershed. A combined effort was undertaken to seriously address the situation. A 4-day symposium was arranged by the Department for Water Resources Engineering at the Institute of Technology at Lund University in cooperation with the municipality of Ystad under the heading The Utilization and Protection of the Coastal Zone. As a result, a long list of activities were put into effect. Amongst other things, a working group was formed, the Coastal Protection Committee, which, after a little more than a year's work, had compiled a comprehensive report on the erosion problem in the municipality of Ystad. The principle to follow should be to allow nature to take its own course. However, certain stretches of the coast are of such significant value that measures should be taken in order to protect them. Just to the west of Ystad and running immediately adjacent to the shore is Highway 9, and buried beneath the sand dunes is the main sewage pipe. In the event of any extensive erosion, both are in danger of being washed away. Beach protection systems of various types were constructed here. On one stretch, gabions were used, that is, net bags filled with stones. Foreshore protection is the very latest beach protection system to be used. Quite simply, a nylon mattress filled with concrete. Concrete slabs were another alternative used. The slabs hook into each other to form a coherent surface. Beneath the slabs is a geotextile. This is the same location 10 years later. The measures which have been put into effect have had good results. The beach has been restored, and together with the beach protection systems, the sewage pipe and the highway are now very well protected. Immediately to the east of Ystad lies Ystad Sandskog, the most popular bathing and recreation area in the municipality. Located here are holiday homes, hotels and restaurants, playing fields and roads, all seriously threatened by the accelerating erosion. The action plan which the working group suggested here was, amongst other things, to build up and reinforce the dunes, as well as planting various types of sand-binding plants. The third section to be prioritised was Løderup Strandbad, once one of the finest beaches on the south coast. This is where the most extensive erosion damage has taken place, and here it was necessary to take protective measures for the beaches as well as for the buildings. In 1989, a symposium was held in Ystad on the theme, The Consequences of the Greenhouse Effect on Municipal Planning. The activities that followed resulted in many leading dignitaries from various state bodies visiting Ystad. Amongst them, the then General Director of the Swedish Environmental Protection Agency, Volfrid Paulsson, and in particular his successor, Rolf Anneberg, who personally became involved in the matter. A few years ago it looked really awful at Løderup. This was partly due to erosion, of course, but also due to the attempts that had been made to try and prevent it, by filling in with stones and anything else available. So the problem had only been made worse. It really was in a bad state. Yes, many leading politicians and statesmen, led by the King and Queen themselves, have visited Ystad in order to be able to form an opinion concerning the problem of erosion on site. During the period when the problem was getting an increasing amount of attention, the Ystad municipality continued to work on the local problems, following the general principles laid down by the Coastal Protection Committee. Cooperation developed with the neighbouring municipalities and homeowners in Løderup. The project was carried out together with SBUF, NewTech, the Swedish Environmental Protection Agency and the Institutes of Technology in Lund and Stockholm. We want to understand and analyse just what is happening along our coastal waters on a reduced scale in the laboratory. Here we can recreate just what takes place under natural conditions in a relatively realistic way and try out different and new techniques for dealing with the problem. Using these models, it is possible to simulate what will happen to the beaches in Ystad, for example, within the next 10, 20, 30 years. So they are useful as a basis when planning the best way to deal with an eroding beach. The work led to a proposal as how to find a solution to the problem at Ystad Sandskog and Løderup Strandbad. This involved further developments to the action plan decided upon by the Coastal Protection Committee. The question of erosion is a national issue, and for many years the municipality of Ystad has been trying to involve the state in the problem. In May 1994, 13 municipalities in the south of Sweden and one in Denmark took their own initiative and formed Erosion Skadecentrum, the Erosion Damage Centre, a body of experts working towards finding effective erosion protection technology. Today, the membership has increased to more than 20 municipalities, as well as a number of supportive companies and organisations. 1.5 years after the Erosion Skadecentrum was formed, it was jointly involved in full-scale experiments in the municipality of Ystad. The government decreed that the Swedish Environmental Protection Agency should contribute 7 million kronor to the municipality. The aim was to protect and recreate beaches which were subject to erosion, as well as conduct a full-scale study of the effects of erosion protection technology on a particular stretch of the coastline. Out along the beach at Lerderup Strandbad, a further 4 groins were constructed. Over a distance of 1,600 metres, there are now a total of 6 groins between 40 and 70 metres in length. In addition to the groins, 65,000 cubic metres of sand were deposited to speed up the recreation process of the beach. At Ystad's Sandskog, a 5th groin at Saltsjöbaden was added to the 4 already in the area. Here too the process was accelerated by the addition of sand. The result is quite apparent. Prior to the construction of the groin, there was no beach here at all. Along an approximate 200 metres stretch of the shore at Sandskogen, a drainage system or beach management system was also installed. This consists of a drain pipe lying parallel to the shoreline. In order to prevent erosion and landslide from occurring in the sand dunes, various beach protection systems have been incorporated. Through the planting of certain types of plants, for example lime grass, the protection has been extended even further. Included in the next stage of the project plans for Sandskogen are 5 25-metre-long detached breakwaters. These are constructed out in the water with the purpose of reducing the wave energy. Sand particles become entrapped, and as a consequence, the beach becomes extended behind the constructions. Various beach protection systems and the planting of lime grass will also continue at Ystad's Sandskog.
Jag har själv jobbat med erosionsproblemen i 13 år och det har varit en lång väg med politikerna och till slut så fick vi myndigheterna att hjälpa oss och villaägarna samlade in 1 miljon och så fick vi 7 miljoner av staten till att bygga hövder i Lerderup Strandbad och det är det som har gett härningarna ett stopp i Lerderup Strandbad. Men nu fortsätter det vidare och nu befinner vi oss i Ystad naturreservat.
The measures taken so far to counteract the beach erosion have had their intended effect, but there is still a need to restore part of the sand which has been lost. Plans exist to collect sand from sand deposits lying off Sandhammaren. The sand will then be deposited between the groins at Sandskogen and Lerderup Strandbad, and the court has approved the extraction of 500,000 cubic metres of sand over a period of 10 years. The matter has also been examined by the government, but here it has been rejected. We haven't really succeeded in explaining the effects and consequences sufficiently well. It was rejected because there was a worry about sand erosion and such like. I think that a new attempt should be made and the explanation should be made much clearer, that no negative consequences will ensue. Out there on the Sandhammaren bank is an enormous amount of sand, 1 billion cubic metres, and of that we want to take just 500,000. That is 1/2 per 1,000, a very, very small amount seen in that context. And we want to take sand in that context. And we want to take sand from there particularly because it came from here in the first place, so we would be returning sand to where it once came from. Erosionsskadecentrum is today the country's leading body where issues involving erosion are concerned. To strengthen the level of competence, it has been joined by an engineering council with experts represented from different areas and different countries. In 2002, the government decided which national body should have overall responsibility for matters concerning erosion. And it was given to SGI, the Swedish Geotechnical Institute situated in Linköping. And our job will be to develop a network both in Sweden and in Europe, internationally with other countries, in order to learn more and gather new experiences and develop further knowledge. We are the body to which a proposed measure is referred for local councils and county administrative boards concerning development projects in areas that may affect coastal erosion, and for large projects within the infrastructure where problems concerning coastal erosion might occur. On an international level too, various forms of cooperation have been created over the last few years. In order to acquire a total picture of the erosion problem, the erosion project is now in progress within the EU.
Now coastal erosion affects 20,000 kilometers of coast in Europe, which corresponds to 20% of the enlarged EU, the EU 25. This is 10% more of coastal erosion, of the length of coastline affected in 1985. There are 3.2 billion euros which are spent each year to mitigate the effect of coastal erosion. We expect that in the future, that means by 2020, this amount will increase up to 5 billion euros. But nonetheless, there is a growing awareness that current solutions, which are generally relying on hard constructions, groins, breakwaters, are not sustainable, in the sense that they may solve the problem of coastal erosion locally, but they generate other environmental problems. This growing awareness is there, and this is precisely one of the aspects on which the European Commission, based on our recommendation, is ready to follow up.
Coastal erosion is a problem now and will continue to be so in the years to come. However, the levels of knowledge in their various forms that are acquired now are a necessary requisite for preventing and limiting the ravages of the sea in the future. I believe we have the capacity, at least in Sweden, to attend to these issues in a positive way. We have good planning on a local government level, we have authorities willing to cooperate, and we have a decentralised decision-making body, so all in all, I'm positive.